The brutal blood eagle method of ritual execution attributed to the Vikings was actually possible, a new study has found. The immensely unpleasant process was, according to legend, reserved for worst enemies and involved carving the victim's back open and hacking their ribs away from the spine and pulling the lungs through wounds to form a twisted and gory bird-like visage. The lungs splaying was said to have looked like wings, which lent this horrific practice its name, but it has long been a matter of conjecture whether the execution method was real history or skaldic scuttlebutt. Questions over the attestations have, perhaps unsurprisingly, not stopped TV and movie producers from portraying the act, with representations appearing in films like horror flick Midsommar and History Channel series Vikings. One such victim of the blood eagle was the Anglo-Saxon king of Northumbria, Aelle, although no archaeological evidence of the ritual has ever been found, and the Norse at the time kept no written records, relying on oral traditions. Their history was only codified much later in poetry and sagas, penned long after the Northmen had abandoned their pagan past in favour of Christianity. In fact, this move to a new religion has been posited as the reason for the continued presence of the blood eagle in the tales of the Vikings. Historians have long suggested that it was a figment of Christian writers' imagination, designed to paint their pagan forebears as bloodthirsty savages before their civilization and embrace of the good book, but a new study points to it actually being possible. A team of researchers from the University of Iceland and the UK's Keele University determined that the practice was at least anatomically achievable. The team, made up of medical scientists and a historian, bypassed the long-standing question of did the blood eagle ever really happen, instead asking, could it have been done? They said that their answer was a clear yes. Previous scholarship of the blood eagle has only ever focused on the details of medieval textual accounts of the torture, with long-running debates concentrating on the exact terms used to describe the cutting or carving of the eagle into the victim's back. A widely held position is that the whole phenomenon is a misunderstanding of some complicated poetry, not something that could have actually been attempted. Using modern knowledge of anatomy and physiology, alongside painstaking reassessment of the 9 medieval accounts of the ritual, the team investigated what effect a blood eagle would have on the human body. What they found that was the procedure itself would be difficult but far from impossible to perform, even with the technology of the time. They postulated that a particular type of Viking spearhead could be used as a makeshift tool to unzip the rib cage of the unfortunate victim quickly from the back. Such a weapon might even be depicted on a stone monument found on the Swedish island of Gotland, where a scene carved into the stone depicts something that could have been a representation of the ritual. However, the researchers also realised that even if the act was carefully performed, the victim would have died very quickly. Therefore, any attempts to reshape the ribs into the fabled wings or remove the lungs would have been performed on a corpse. That last fluttering would not have happened. The report read, "While that might make the blood eagle sound even less likely to modern ears, we also demonstrate that while mutilating corpses and carrying out rituals on dead bodies was unusual, it was not totally out of character for the warrior elite of the Viking age." Drawing on archaeological and historical data, the research showed that the blood eagle ritual fits with what we know about how Viking age warrior elites behaved. They had no qualms about displaying the dead bodies of humans and animals in special rituals, including during spectacular executions. The report added, "Our study specifically examined so-called deviant burials, like the skeleton of a well-dressed noblewoman who was beheaded in 10th century Birka and subsequently buried with the remains of her head tucked between her arm and torso, her missing jawbone, possibly destroyed during her decapitation, replaced by a pig's mandible. Warriors from this layer of society were also obsessed with their reputations and were willing to go to extreme lengths to protect their image." The blood eagle seems to have been a more extreme case of this sort of behaviour, conducted only in exceptional circumstances, on a captured prisoner of war who had earlier subjected the ritual doer's father or other male relative to a shameful death. In medieval sagas, some of these type of killings included victims being thrown into a pit of snakes, being burned to death in a longhouse without the chance of a fair fight, and even having their guts torn out and nailed to a post. In the sagas, the blood eagle is shown as a way for the victims' relatives to reclaim their lost honour. This is certainly the case with the execution of the character of Jarl Borg in the Vikings TV series. Contrary to established wisdom, the team argued that the blood eagle could very well have taken place in the Viking Age. It was, they concluded, physically possible, in line with broader social habits regarding execution and the treatment of corpses, and reflected what they called a cultural obsession with demonstrating your honour and prestige. They added, what's more, its spectacular brutality would have ensured that everybody who heard about it would be keen to tell the story in all its gory details, just as we're still telling them today. So, Blood Eagle, fact or fiction? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and most importantly subscribe. Thank you for watching.